Oh, the early line on a Friday. We love it. It's so much fun. The weekend is just about here, and it's our job to get you ready, as we say continuously here, but also understand the topics at hand. We just reviewed the NBA games that took place last night. We will handicap the games that will take place tonight, but sometimes, Joe, you take that deep breath and you get the re-rack here. We're not even through the first round. Some teams are set up for a sweep. We get that. Some teams in some series are set up for a 6 to 7 game series, which is fantastic as well. But let's take a look at the FanDuel Sportsbook, Joe, where the odds market is shaping up for us, starting with the Western Conference. It's no surprise. We just talked about the Oklahoma City Thunder taking a 3-0 series lead against the Memphis Grizzlies. They're currently, yes, the favorite to win the Western Conference at a minus 165 price, followed by the Clippers, who had an impressive victory over the Nuggets last night at a plus 750. The Lakers at an 8-1 number, the Warriors at a plus 850, and so on down the list here. If we're looking at this odds market, does anything bring to your attention right now? Or no, Donnie, we need more time to let this settle in. It's basically just chalk at this point for you.
Well, listen, you better take a serious look at the Clippers at plus 750 here, because they are the one team that I think is worth taking a flyer on. If anybody's going to beat OKC, it's this Clippers team that is built to do that, provided we have a healthy Kawhi Leonard and Norm Powell and, of course, Harden and Zubac and company there. But this Clippers team, very experienced, very poised at plus 750. That's your value. Now, whether or not they end up beating the Thunder, who knows? But I can tell you, if it comes down to Thunder Clippers, what are the Thunder going to be? How big a favorite there, Donnie? I don't think you're going to get the Clippers at plus 750 to win that series for sure.
Yeah, we get overreactions all the time, right? But rightfully so. It is an odds market. And the thing I always like to say, Joe, is that the odds market, FanDuel Sportsbook doesn't wake up one day and say, roll the dice. Hey, 165 came out on OKC, or okay, 8-1 came out on the Lakers. Like, these numbers are there for a reason. They're being bet into. And also, that's what the algorithm, as we like to say, is talking about. The Golden State Warriors plus 850. The reason I bring that up is because that's directly with the Houston Rockets in a 1-1 series at 21-1 to win the West for the Rockets. I will continue to talk about the Rockets here. Your thoughts on them being 21-1 now, which as the 2 seed, not or the 2 seed here, they're more of the 7th seed being priced right now, Joe.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, right? But the Rockets, I kind of put in that same category as Detroit, right, Donnie? That very young, very more talent, that well coached, but the experience just isn't there. And I thought it was a great bounce back against Golden State. But now I got to see him win a game on the road in Golden State here for me to lean that way. They certainly have the talent, and on paper, and they have a head coach who knows what he's doing. But the problem is, I still think they're a year or two away from truly contending for a world championship.
Yeah, see what they do, and also understand this. Like, we talk about, will John Morant playing game number 4? Questions about Jimmy Butler going down with that hip injury. Jimmy's as tough as they come, so the expectations were him for to be playing or return back to the court as soon as possible. Hopefully is the case. You see the Timberwolves down there at a 13-1 price. Just talked again about the Rockets at 21-1. And then there's the Denver Nuggets. This is a few short years ago, winning an NBA championship, still have maybe the best overall player in basketball. Any feelers for you on the Nuggets at 30, not to win the title, Joe, to win the West at 37-1?
I just think there's just too many. The defense is not what it has been in past years. The reason Mike Malone and the GM are no longer there is they couldn't get on the same page with how to build this roster. There are holes all over the place. And let's face it, Aaron Gordon or Michael Porter Jr. miss a game, or Jamal Murray. They don't have any depth. They've got no way to overcome any adversity. And that defense, the worst heading into the postseason, you can't, to me, they're not going to make it anywhere near the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, the West seemingly like some of those longer shots, like, ooh, you know what? Good basketball teams, we think they can make a run. We flip it over to the East, and it just feels, and rightfully so, Joe, it's the top 2, but it's been that way throughout the regular season and now the start of the playoff picture here. The Celtics, who aren't the 1 seed, they are the 2 seed, but they are the favorites to win the Eastern Conference at a minus 145 price. That even with the injury situation to Tatum, where the expectations are he is going to return sooner than later, but certainly not on the court. The Cleveland Cavaliers, a plus 175 price, handling their business early in the series against the Miami Heat. Then the drop-off comes. The Knicks at 13-1. The Pacers at 22-1. The Bucks at 85-1 to win this conference. The Pistons, who are playing the Knicks well, 140-1. Let's start up top. Agreement there for you, Joe, that it's the Celtics and the Cavaliers by a wide margin, and you agree with those price points, even if the Celtics are still currently listed as the favorite.
Well, I think anybody on that left side there, Celtics, Cavs, Knicks, Pacers, are all legit and can make a run here. We know that. I think the Tatum injury is interesting to his wrist. I don't think they need him to beat the Magic in this series by any stretch here, but it's going to be interesting. What is the lingering effects of that wrist injury moving forward? And listen, the Cavs have been the best team in the East all year long. There's no reason why we shouldn't consider them the front runner here, but you're the champs until somebody beats you, and we'll see how that works. But I wouldn't sleep on the Knicks and the Pacers. How many more times do we have to watch the Pacers do this? They're playing the best basketball we've seen in a long time, and they've got experience now.
Come on, Joe. Can I sell you on the Pistons? 140-1. Like, if they could beat the Knicks in game number 4, away we go with these big tickets here. But it's hard to say because the end of the roadblock is going to be the Celtics and the Cavaliers. But it is fun to see some of those price points for teams playing quality basketball that might not have the lead in their actual series themselves. It is interesting. And again, the Bucks with that pedigree too. It's still Giannis there. If Dame can catch lightning in a bottle, 85-1, not even to win the championship, just to play through the Eastern Conference and get to the title. So we look at those price points. The Miami Heat, good luck, 700-1. We know they probably don't have enough to come back and beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, but some of these price points are crazy at this point, Joe.
Yeah, no, they're beyond crazy. And it's really, to me, there's 4 teams with 2 very chalky sides there, and there are a couple of sleepers, but in the West, it's interesting what's shaping up there with the top 2 teams.
Let's get down to the business today. The NBA on a Friday, a triple header tonight, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and 9:30 Eastern. 3 games, big doings. Teams need to climb back in the series. Teams looking to take a stranglehold on the series, Joe Raineri. And let's start with the game that's going to be the late one tonight. That's a 9:30 start. It's the Lakers and the Timberwolves from Minnesota tonight. If we look at the opening line, the Minnesota Timberwolves at the FanDuel Sportsbook were a minus 2.5-point favorite. That line now sits at 3 at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Other books, Joe, as high as 3.5. Just like playoff basketball. Open up at a 208 total. That is now dropped to 205.5 at the FanDuel Sportsbook and just about every other outlet. Let's start there with the price points of the side and the total. Any thoughts on those opening lines as we head into the game tonight?
Yeah, listen, I think advantage Timberwolves. And I think anything other than looking at the under would be crazy in this game here, Donnie. We know both of these teams are playing at one of the slowest paces so far in the playoffs. Both teams have one of the lowest effective shooting percentages as well thus far in the playoffs. But listen, there's nothing easy going to be given to LeBron James or Luka. Luka knows how difficult this is going to be. The question to me is really whether or not the Lakers can come up with enough defense in order to give themselves an opportunity to win this game late. But when you look at it, I mean, unders, the Wolves at home have gone under in 7 of their last 8 games. They've got a ton of bodies they can throw at Luka. And the Lakers, by the way, under in 5 of their last 7 games. I think the first one to 101 wins this game.
Take a look at the points props in this game at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Luka Doncic very healthy at 30.5. LeBron James at 22.5. Anthony Edwards, the Ant-Man from Minnesota, 26.5. Are there any players that you're looking at tonight maybe going over, staying under their points prop? Who would that be tonight for you, Joe?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm going to go off the grid here a little bit, and I'm going to look at Naz Reid over 11.5 points here. We know that the Lakers have decided that in a lot of spots they're going to go small ball here, and that's fine. You can do that. That means Naz Reid coming off that bench is going to be able to get whatever he wants when he wants. And, same thing with Rudy Gobert. I think he was a big factor in game one. He had 23 points. He didn't have a great game last game, which I think is why we're only getting 11 and a half here. I don't think the Lakers have an answer off the bench for him. So to me, I'd look to back him up and over that point prop.
See, I like that. I like where you're going here because I'm always under the notion that, the starters, what you're going to get out of them. That's why they're starters home and away. But the bench players always play typically better at home. And Naz Reid's one of those guys. If he gets hot from three-point range, he'll just keep shooting and knocking those shots down. So it's good looks as opposed to taking sometimes just those superstars or the Batman and Robins. Take a look at those B and C items. Maybe they can get you over to the finish line. If we look at this series as a whole now, because we know first two games were in LA, they split. Back to Minnesota, you always want to take care of home court advantage if you're the Timberwolves. But if you're looking at the price points to win the series, it's relatively close. The Lakers, Joe, the slight favorite of FanDuel at a minus 118 price to win the series. The Timberwolves at a plus 100. Buying into the Timberwolves more, or should this be a Lakers series? Because for me, I always love conspiracy theories. The NBA would love the Los Angeles Lakers to beat the Timberwolves. I always have a little bit of factor in there for that. I'll take the Lakers minus 118, regardless of what happens tonight. How about you, Joe?
Yeah, you know what? I would look for the Timberwolves early in this one. At home, bouncing back. I would look for them in the first half, Donnie, and then I would look to be able to get the Lakers at plus money or getting a few more points here at some point in the first half and look to get a nice middle somewhere along the line here because ultimately I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game, so I think it's going to come down to the final couple of possessions. And the Lakers are very live to win this, but I think we can get a much better price in game on it.
Yeah, let's see what happens tonight. Exciting game again, 9:30 start tonight. That's the third of the triple header tonight. Let's flip it back to game number 2 on the card tonight. That's an 8 o'clock start. That's the Indiana Pacers and the Milwaukee Bucks. Home for Milwaukee. The total in this game opened up at 230.5, which is a very high number for the playoffs. Still sitting at 230.5 here at the FanDuel Sportsbook. The side, though, we do have movement. The opening line, minus 3.5 for the Bucks. That's now up to 5.5 at the FanDuel Sportsbook and many other books listed as well. If we look at this game, because we just talked about the Lakers and Timberwolves, 1-1. Sure, both teams want to win it, but not life and death if you lose it. A kitchen sink game, as I like to talk about, the Bucks can't afford to lose this game. Does that play into your mindset for the Bucks and that line movement? And also, which side you looking at tonight?
Yeah, well, I love the fact that you have a Pacers team that's playing unbelievable basketball right now, but that shouldn't come to a shock, right, Donnie? Because they've been playing ever since after the All-Star break. They've been playing some of the best basketball all year, and they have been one of the better teams in the second half, them and the Clippers, in fact. But them winning games at home the way they are and then doing it in Milwaukee, I think is a different ball game. They lost both regular season games here, when they played Milwaukee on the road. I think having 2 days off helps Damian Lillard too as well, who was a little bit rusty here. I think you're going to get a rejuvenated Bucks team here. I think they are going to have no problem scoring enough. I think they'll get a few more stops on the road here. Either way, it's very hard for me to look at the over because I do think if Milwaukee's got any shot to get back in the series, they are going to not allow Indiana to shoot 55% and anything they want from three. So I think we get a better defensive effort tonight. I like the under, and I like the Bucks to win one.
Yeah, we'll see if they can shut it down, but the tempo should be decent in the game tonight. I want to focus here on the Bucks superstars. That's Giannis Antetokounmpo for you, Joe, and of course, Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard came back after that extended layoff there with the blood clots. Wasn't all that efficient, but played close to 30 minutes in that game. His points prop is listed at 23.5. They're home. Is this a buy-in for you on Lillard, or you still need to see more at this point, and you're just going to say to yourself, man, it's Giannis. Like, if Giannis gets 35-plus points, a good chance they can win. Giannis scores 24 for me. The Bucks aren't winning. How do you approach Antetokounmpo and Lillard tonight?
No, you need to listen. Giannis can't do it on his own in this series against this Indiana team. We've already seen that in games 1 and 2. The first game back, it was great to have Lillard, but usually when superstars come back after a long layoff, Donnie, the rule of thumb for me is always fade them in that first game and back them in the second game once they've had a chance to get their legs under them. And I think that's what you're going to see here tonight. And I think Milwaukee shoots the three much better at home in this matchup But if they don't play defense, if they don't get some stops, it doesn't matter what Lillard or Giannis do. Giannis will be Giannis, but he's got to get other guys involved in this game at some point.
Yeah, you know what the funny part too is we talk about that Detroit Pistons New York series as it's getting a little edgy. This series is edgy, and these two teams can't stand each other, which you'll love to see it. So it adds to that intrigue of what we're going to get now that we flip from the Pacers home to the Milwaukee Bucks. If we are looking at the series prices, Joe, at the FanDuel Sportsbook to win the series, no question, it's a heavy favorite towards the Pacers. They won the first two games here. They're a minus 420 price. The Bucks come in at a plus 330 price. So looking at the outcome tonight, the spread moving from 3.5 to 5.5, the anticipation is a Bucks win. When's the time to buy in on the Bucks? Or, Joe, in your opinion, is it, yeah, it's nice they win, but they can't beat the Pacers in the series regardless of what happens tonight?
Well, again, if Lillard is back to form, and I mean, let's not forget, outside of these last two games, the Bucks heading into the playoffs were absolutely unbeatable, Donnie. They were doing it defensively. They were doing it offensively. You get Lillard back here tonight, and if he shows up and shows out, they need this game. And if they do, I think they're very, very much alive. Don't forget, the series doesn't start until a road team wins.
True. Absolutely correct. And by the way, Lakers Timberwolves 1-1 here. We'll see who takes control of that series. The Pacers and the Bucks. Do the Bucks want to extend this and have a series, or just a formality if they lose that game? A third game is going to take place tonight at 7:00 down at the Magic Kingdom. Let's talk about the Celtics and the Magic next, right here on a Friday edition of the Early Line. One game left on the docket tonight of the NBA Friday night playoff triple header. We hit the Pacers and the Bucks, we hit the Lakers and the Timberwolves, and now the 7:00 start down in Disney. 5:53, 5:54 on the rotation. That's the Boston Celtics taking on the Orlando Magic. The opening number in this game was minus 5.5 at the FanDuel Sportsbook. That is now 4.5, and most other outlets also, Joe, showing 4.5. Another low total in this series. A 198 opening number still sits 198 now at FanDuel. Other books have moved to 197. So let's start with the Celtics and the Magic, and also the elephant in the room, I guess, will be is, I don't know if it's official Tatum is out, but this line is telling us Tatum probably is not going to play, and rightfully so. Why rush him back? So starting with the side itself, Orlando got beaten games 1 and game number 2 back in Orlando. Is there a chance that they can win this game and at least send this series back to Boston?
Yeah, well, very possible. I mean, we know that Orlando has been much better at home, Donnie, and at least they have made it somewhat uncomfortable at times for this Boston team, right? So it's not been a cupcake. The 109-100 win in last game over there certainly proved that 196.5 total might have been artificially too low there. But I still think we're going to get somewhere in that ballpark of 103 to 109 points from Boston. I don't see Boston exploding for 115 or more points. So the question you've got to ask yourself, Donnie, is if 100 wins this, can we count on the Magic doing it? Can the Magic actually steal one here at home? And they are a team I'd be looking to back early. I backed them last game early in the first game in the first half, getting a ton of points. I don't see any reason not to back them early in this one, too. No Tatum makes it a little bit more difficult for the Boston Celtics on the road, who have been a little less defensive on the road than they had been at home. But I do think Orlando is live to cover this, win it outright. But I certainly like the Jaylen Brown over points prop, 23.5. I expect him to get the bulk of the scoring like he did in last game with no Tatum on the court.
Yeah, trying to find angles. You look at the first two games, and even though Tatum didn't play in game number 2, we know the Celtics are a better team than Orlando. That's not what the focus is. The focus is, can the Magic win one game and possibly push it back to Boston for at least a gentleman's sweep, which is probably what would take place. Jason Tatum, I don't think officially ruled out tonight, but the prognosis and based on the spread, as we talked about, he's probably not going to play. So the betting angles that you take in this game, right? Because for me, you're looking at sides, and the general public's going to say, man, come on now. You just saw the Celtics handle their business game number 2, at least by close to double digits at least. They should be able to win this game by 5 points going away. I think I'm getting a discount. But you also look at the betting numbers. This was a 5.5. That's now a 4.5. You look at the FanDuel Sportsbook directly under their stat numbers. 72% of the bets are coming in on Boston. 77% of the money on Boston. That should be an avalanche that sends it from 5.5 to 6.5 to 7.5. But that line dropped for a reason. So if you are saying, can Orlando make it a series? They have to win the game tonight, because if they lose tonight, I don't think there's a lot of gumption on Orlando saying, hey, man, let's rise up, Joe, game 4 and force a game 5 and get on a plane to get waxed in Boston one more time. This is their game tonight. So if you are looking for this series to possibly go back to Boston, I do think Orlando must win tonight, a plus 164 on the money line. But again, it is a hard sell. They're not as good Tatum or no Tatum to beat Orlando. But I do think I like the points tonight, getting 4.5 with Orlando, just for the fact is, I know I'm going to get the best out of Orlando tonight, win or lose, which I don't know if I'm going to get in game number 4 if they lose. Tatum's still out here. I think the Magic can keep this close enough, if not steal this game. Do I love it? No. But fading the public in this spot, I think it might be advantageous.
Listen, and Orlando is not built to come from behind, Donnie, right? So their best shot is they've got to go and they've got to punch first here. Now, they have been much tougher at home than they have been any place else. So Boston didn't exactly run them over this season, especially in Orlando. So I do think their best shot is to punch first and get out ahead. 101 points is your first half total, and they are getting 1.5 points here. I like Orlando on the money line in the first half. Would not shock me that they have the lead going into the second half. And then it's a matter of whether or not they can make enough shots and limit Boston enough to be actually, to get the outright win.
Yeah, you take a look at Jaylen Brown, too, which I know you'll be high on tonight. Anytime Tatum's out, it's like, okay, my time to shine. And even though that points number is low for the game, it's under 200, 24.5 is manageable. Because if you ask me before the game, if healthy and not in foul trouble, which you can sort of guarantee at that point, it's like, okay, randomly he's going to foul out or he's going to get injured. He's going to take at least 15 shots, like at least 15 shots for Jaylen Brown to get to 24.5, which means 3-point shots go down for extra points and also the free throw numbers. The interesting part here for me for the Magic is it feels like it's always two players. Like Boncaro is 27.5. Wagner is 24.5. Who else is going to step up for the Orlando Magic in this game and get 15, 16, 17 points to help out? The one guy I do like in this game, outside of the Orlando Magic, let's just say a bench player, always Peyton Pritchett. 13.5, Tatum's down. That means, again, an extra 15 to 20 shots are going to be up for grabs. I always like Pritchett off the bench to get three or more 3-point shots made. But if you're looking for more Orlando, who do you take tonight for Orlando if you had a points prop? Is it just you're going top heavy, or maybe an Anthony Black who went over his number, who's bumped up from 6.5 in game number 2 to 7.5 in game number 3? Those bench players typically, again, play better at home.
And they better. They're going to need a big performance from them, absolutely, like they got in the play-in game in order to be able to advance to take on Boston here. So, yeah, I'm going to need a big bench effort. And you're right, Donnie, you'll get them from home. But it's this total that cracks me up. I mean, the Celtics team total is 101. If the Celtics win, they're not going to score more than 101 points if they win this game?
88-78, Joe, they're telling you right now at this point right now. Yeah, and basically what you're asking for is, Orlando, just be competitive, and you should get over 100 points for Boston. But just be competitive, and you should be fine. If you're looking for the series price, Joe, minus $20,000 for those Celtics. How do you feel about that price?
Yeah, I might be worth some pizza money there. Find something to couch cushions, throw it on there. I'd feel safe with that. My goodness.
Exactly. Woo. Maybe get a crab claw from Joe Stone Crab down there. Could be affordable at that price point at this point. Well, Joe's going to carry you home on the early line. Thank you for joining us today. It's a Friday. Take us home, Joe. Enjoy the rest of the show.